What's up, girls? I just read I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman. It is a short dystopian novel about 40 women who are in a bunker and are prisoners to these male guards. And there are all these strict rules within the prison that they don't really have any explanation for. And one day an alarm goes off, the doors to their prison swings open, all the guards disappear, and they find themselves kind of in this vast wilderness. And they basically journey only to find other prisons that are similar, some of which are full of men and not women. And the protagonist is the youngest of the 40 women and is prepubescent, never goes through puberty, and she ends up just kind of journeying aimlessly through the world, trying to decipher purpose from mystery and exploration. But yeah, I think the book is like very ambiguous about a lot of things. It doesn't really clarify anything for you. It kind of reminded me of The Road by Cormac McCarthy, with kind of like a Kafka-esque logic to it. If Kafka wrote kind of like female-focused dystopian novels, it would be this book. Although Kafka's kind of funny, and this book was a little more tragic, I would say. There's not a lot of humor in it. It's operating on a lot of different axioms, I would say. First, within the prison, the protagonist, because she's the youngest, has no memory of what life was like before their oppression. And though she, kind of has the natural inclination to escape, just because she doesn't want to feel not free, she doesn't have any other, life to compare her oppression against, but all the other women do. And, all the other women are constantly reminiscing on, like, being in love before they were put in this prison and having children and whatever, and all of, like, the meaningful things in life, singing, dancing, whatever. When they eventually escape the prison, it kind of becomes, this vast, desolate landscape is almost a prison in itself, because even though they were trapped for so long, they being trapped still kind of had this kind of security where they slept a certain time every day, they had food provided for them every day, they had shelter, and now suddenly they're out in the wilderness with no skills. And that's kind of like, I felt that as like a very true kind of thing she's getting at, where it's like, like a group of people that have been oppressed for a long time, to suddenly be freed is like a kind of a large burden, because they don't have the skills that are like curated and passed down over a long period of time that people who have not been imprisoned have, it's pretty bleak is the only thing for me. It's pretty like just kind of sad, and doesn't leave a lot of hope as to like what the meaning of life could be. But it was definitely like an interesting thought experiment, and it got me thinking about, I guess how lucky we are, It really made me like, you really get to live inside of the mind of this protagonist that knows first kind of nothing of being trapped, then nothing of being like exploring the world, where she eventually becomes the last one because she's the youngest, and then finally like looking for some sort of purpose in her isolation. If you were to like, look at the novel from a lens of like personal development rather than like political or like class critique, then it does feel sort of true to life in the sense of like, you know, maybe you're not born in a prison, but you're born in like your parents' house, whether you like your parents or not, and you have certain systems of rules, and you go to school at a certain grade and you learn this, and then, you know, kind of as you become an adult, you escape that, you know, that kind of safe, sometimes oppressive environment, and you suddenly have like ultimate freedom, which maybe you imagined to be better than it was when you didn't have it. Maybe you cultivated into something that is better than what was for you, and maybe not. And then, you know, finally, it seems kind of like people just fall away out of her life, and she's kind of left reflecting on what the purpose of her life was, reading, learning, just trying to solve these mysteries. And that felt like a very kind of true to life arc that like the individual person goes through. So this book was cool because I felt like the plot was like a very stacked metaphor that also that worked as like, you know, class critique, political critique, but at the same time like individual psychological insight, which was cool. That being said, it was, you know, a little depresso, so that's never, it's always, I don't like, I guess I'm just calibrated, you know, to not like kind of bleak books. But yeah, that's my review for I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman. Check it out if you want.